What's going on, winners? It's your boy Loso 2.0, and today I have another special guest. We have Erin Ramirez, owner of Change Studio, is an accomplished organizational scientist and expert in organizational psychology. As a speaker, trainer, coach, and strategist, she specializes in inspiring leaders to dream bigger, accomplish more, and have greater impact. Erin has extensive experience achieving big goals and implementing change across various organizations from small businesses to Fortune 500s. She also currently leads the change strategy and change readiness teams for a global Fortune 500 company of 44,000 employees. Dang. Leading change efforts and coaching leaders through technology change, culture change, mergers, and more. Her record has shown that successful organizational change is achievable when leaders and their teams have the right dreams, mindset, processes, and support. Welcome, Erin Ramirez. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
No, dang, that's a lot right there. 44,000 employees. Woo,
There's a
okay.
lot of people. Yeah, it's a big
No, it
company.
is. It is. It definitely is. So I guess just kind of really just get started right here, right? I know that you're the owner of Change Studio. So can you kind of talk to us about, what that is and what you guys like mission is?
Absolutely. Really, I'm passionate about helping leaders to dream really, really impossible dreams and then to accomplish those. And so, both in my business and in my work with the company that I work for, I support leaders with, well, where are we going? What's the big dream? And then sometimes being willing to have a dream that feels scary. And then the action steps of how are we going to bring people along? How are we going to bring ourselves along first? And how are we going to bring people along for it? So through the Real Change Studio, I work to support through coaching. So a lot of business leaders through one-on-one coaching, through some group coaching. And then I also do a lot of speaking and workshops for groups.
Yeah, okay. All right, cool, cool, cool. So it must have been about like 6 months or so since the Change Studio, or how long have you been in business?
Yep. It's been about 6 months ago that I got it started.
Okay, all right, cool. So kind of talk to me about like the startup then. Like what made you start it? Like what's your why? Because that's a big thing for me. Whatever I do something, I'm always focused on my reason why. What's the reason why for doing this Change Studio?
Yeah, there's a couple reasons. I find that people are either dreamers, but they have a hard time actually building out the plans and doing the work. Or I
Hmm.
find that people are scared to do dreams and they're kind of living in the day to day where they're okay with doing the work, but they're scared to dream big. And so my company really came together to blend the two is how do I help people to be dreamers and doers? Because in all of my life, I see that people are either scared to do something big, they're afraid that they can't do it, or
Hmm.
they can dream big, but they have a hard time putting action into place and making it happen. And we've got to have people doing more stuff, right? We've got people have so many ideas. There's so much out there. There's so much need in this world for people to do what they're meant to do. And my dream is to help 1,000 people to bring their impossible dreams to life. And so I really have this vision of my impact is supporting people to have their impact. I want everyone to have big impact.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that, I'm a firm believer in like we're all on here on this planet to do, something. We're all here for a reason. So you're just helping them bring out that something that they're supposed to do, and you just do it at, the biggest scale possible that they can. So yeah, I'm definitely a big advocate in that too as well. Now I know before doing Change Studios, you were a change readiness senior manager. Did you how were you working for another company then? And also, did some of the stuff you learned from there help you transition into the Change Studio right now?
So I still work for that company.
Okay.
We have a merger that we're closing out of, and we're coming into our next merger. So soon we'll be about 60,000 employees.
Damn.
And so there's a lot of change happening and a lot of big dreams and goals happening there too. And so there's been absolutely a lot of application. I love the creativity that I get from doing my own business, but I also love the power of working with a company that's of scale that's doing some already really incredible things in the world. So it's just a really lovely balance of wow, I get to do really neat things in a company that already has some momentum, and then I get to work with leaders in more creative ways within my own company.
Yeah, honestly, so where are you based out of too as well?
I'm in the Chicago area.
Chicago. Okay, yeah. 'Cause I was about to say I've never seen anything like that over here in Philly or Delaware. So I was like a
Yeah,
team. do to yourself. I was like, wait, what? Okay, all right, that might be a great idea then too as well. But yeah, no, that's what's up because I never even heard of a change readiness like senior manager. I've never heard of anything like that before personally myself. I'm sure some of my viewers, mainly being from the Philly area, Delaware area, haven't heard of that as well too as before. But it looks like you always had some sort of position or job that had to do with doing some type of change because even before that it was an organizational change management consultant, right? So did that also, and even then before that too as well, you worked at the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. How was your experience with that? Are you also, is that like a Christian church or Catholic church or something like that too as well? And yeah, how was your experience with that too?
Yeah, I'd love to tell your audience a little bit about my story. For a long time, I was trying to figure out what my purpose was, and I fell into the land of event planning and program management, but a lot of event planning work. And I was good at it, but it didn't feel quite right. Like that's what I was, that was the biggest way that I could contribute.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really went on a discernment process to figure out, well, what's next for me.
Mm-hmm.
And in a course that I took on finding my purpose, the instructor asked, what do you complain about the most? And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, well, I'm always complaining about how the workplace has all of these changes and I don't feel like employees are engaged and leaders don't know how to lead through change.
For sure.
And so she asked, well, why don't you go do something about it? And that inspired me to shift into leadership development and organizational change. And so about 8 or 9 years ago, I moved into that space. And since then, that's been my focus and my passion. So I did work for the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America for their headquarters. I was in a role there for about 5 years with a leadership process, and then
Mm-hmm.
also support organizational changes, and then into consulting, and now working internally for a company. And my passion has just grown for seeing, it doesn't matter if you're a leader of a small business or of a nonprofit or a school activity or a big company. We're all humans and we're afraid to do big things and we're, can be fearful. And so there's a lot of opportunity to help support leaders and then employees through changes so that they can accomplish more.
Yeah, I agree. Like a lot of times with this, and it reminds me of like track, right? Because I used to I ran track like 1 year. My wife
Mm.
didn't believe me, but whatever. So when I ran the 400, it was like the first 100 meters you're supposed to like sprint as hard as possible, and then you kind of maintain and you finish strong. But like sometimes, but me getting ready for even running the 400, I'm like, oh my, I really don't feel like doing this, or I don't want to do this, and like with change too as well. I don't know if you feel like this too. A lot of people are just even scared to even take that first step and just start running, right? So what advice would you give to people that are even fearful of just taking that first step? And
Good question. And where I start with that, I love that analogy actually that you give because I can visualize it as I'm talking. You running right around the track. Where I think people could start is just being willing to have your own back. And I think that that's a powerful thing, right? Because at the end of the day, no matter what happens in life, we have to have our own backs because if we don't have our own back, no one's going to have our own back, right?
Mhm.
And so it's just believing that, like, gosh, if I get down and if I fall down on the race, right, and I feel like I failed, I still trust myself and I respect myself. I'm going to get back up. I have my own back.
Mhm.
Or maybe I didn't do something that I thought I could do, but that's okay. I got my own back. And so I think that's a place to start is if you're feeling afraid, if you're not sure you can do something, just start by saying, do I have my own back? And if so, and if you don't, how do I build that? How do I trust myself more? How do I respect myself more? And if you do, awesome, then you'll be okay no matter what happens. You've got your own back. So start there. And then if you don't have your own back or you need some support, find community that has your back because no matter
Mhm.
what happens, then people will pick you up, right? If you fall down. So I think that's the starting point. And
Yeah.
then secondly, it's, having a direction. You need to know where you're going.
Mhm.
There's a really interesting phenomenon that it's easier to do more than it is to do less. And I know that's kind of counterintuitive, right? But actually, if you get momentum going and you do bigger things and bolder things, it's easier to do those than like a ton of little puny things. And
Mhm.
so figure out your direction and focus on that and be willing to say no to the things that aren't taking you to your dream or to your goal. And then again, have your own back then. If it doesn't work out, you're all right. You'll be okay.
Yeah, no, a couple things about what you said. First, with doing those big things, that kind of just remind me when I was talking to a representative of mine yesterday. She was like, "Oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. I want to do this, that, there." I was like, "All right, don't fall victim to like trying to put you in everything and put all your eggs in one basket, but it's you're not even filling up the one basket first, right? The one that does all is not the master of none." So that's what I'm telling her. That's what that
Hmm.
reminded me of. And then also too about having your own back, that kind of works in both ways, like just encouraging yourself, but also too, because I get asked all the time, how do you stay motivated? How do you keep posting content every day? How do you do that? And I was like, well, I put myself on punishment, right? It's like if I did not post my content today, you won't see me playing the game. You won't see me relaxing or doing anything first because I have to do those things in order to earn that. So I have to earn my leisure,
Hmm.
right? Earn my weekend. So that's what that kind of made me think of. So like when you say that, I just want the audience to really think like, yeah, have your back, encourage yourself, but also hold yourself accountable too as well. Do you think that also plays a part too?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where the trust is built and the respect, right? Because if you
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, I'm going to build this business and I'm going to be out there every day doing something," and then you don't do it, that's why you probably don't trust yourself or respect yourself. And I've had times where I say I'm going to do something and I don't, and then I'm disappointed in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to build back up that trust that, I can do it, that I'm putting in the effort. And that's going to take me where I'm going, or at least I think it will.
Yeah, no, that's true, and it's so weird that's crazy you say because that definitely happens to me too. Sometimes, like I'll go the whole day and I'll like do some of this stuff, and then I'll kind of just relax. I'm like, dang, then I feel bad that I didn't do it. But then
Hmm.
like, when I just keep doing everything, I just stay bit and like busy but productive with those big things. It kind of builds that momentum, like the track race, and I'm able to complete everything when I stay focused. So yeah, no, that's definitely good. So you went to George Mason University as well. What did you study when you were there?
That was my graduate degree. I went back to study industrial organizational psychology.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's a mouthful, it's a lot, but really it just means human behavior in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fascinating career field. So you mentioned hadn't heard of change readiness before.
Yeah.
The career field I studied can be applied in a lot of ways: human resources,
Mm-hmm.
organizational strategy. I apply it towards leadership and organizational change. But it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, how do people think at work? How do they think in groups? And then how can you support them and influence them?
Mm-hmm.
And so I really loved that field, and it supports me with helping people to be ready for change and to help them move through change. So if anyone's looking at getting into the change career field, or if you are thinking about HR, it's like a booming field.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of need for IO psychology.
Yeah, and when you said that change readiness, that also kind of reminded me of even like what my EPS, my niche, like the whole point of even this podcast is kind of like when you feel like there's something that you were talking about how like what do you complain about the most? Now go make a change about it. That's even the reason why I even do this podcast, why I do the motivational speaking and stuff. It's like I felt like I was missing these things in my community, growing
Mm.
up. Like I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was until I was 18. So now I'm creating a platform where you can get different resources. You can learn about different stuff that's going to help you down the workplace and later on in life. So it's the same thing with your change readiness. It just seemed like you had something that you were complaining about, something that you wanted to change, and then you went and you created that for yourself too as well.
Absolutely. I think that's where a lot of purpose and passion comes from and intersects, right? It's like, what's the need in the world and what do I care about? And then let me
Mm-hmm.
go put my effort there because I'm going to go do something about it as opposed to doing work that I don't really care as much about.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. That's definitely true as well. So you also with your degrees too as well from George Mason University, going to University of Oslo. You also certify in social behavior research. Did that happen after you graduated college, or is that something that you were doing during the process as well?
That was a part of doing research. And so I did some research studies that required that certificate
Mm-hmm.
because when we did research, you have to know how to do ethical research.
For
And
sure.
so that was a piece of doing some of the research studies that I did.
Okay. Now, when you were going through these research programs and you were going through college and stuff like that, um, were were there any of the people that you went to school with? They still have an impact today on your career?
Good question. I stay in touch with a lot of my colleagues from graduate school.
Okay.
So from undergraduate school, I still stay in touch with some too. I actually have a really good friend of mine who we still call weekly from one another. And so support one another, bounce ideas off each other. We've had similar kind of career paths. And then from graduate school, I stay in touch on LinkedIn with a lot of people just to see what they're up to and celebrate when they're winning at work. But other than that, I can't think of anyone in particular that still influenced me, except my professors. I've had some great professors that I still remember things in my mind that they've told me or ways that they impacted me.
Wow, yeah, because I was wondering that because I know I had someone on here who he created like an app, and he was talking about the importance of having a team, and a lot of his team came from the people that he went to school with or he went.
Hmm.
So your team for Change Studio, is it just you alone, or do you also have a team as well with that?
Right now, I work by myself.
All right, so okay, all right, cool, 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 cool. So you wear like many hats too as well with the Change Studio. How do you balance that out and also, having a personal life too?
Mhm. Well, it's a lot, especially with another job too. So
Yeah.
my first priority is always my first job, since that's a steady income,
Sure.
and then also my family. I always put family first. So I have a 4-year-old daughter. I'm married. I've got a dog. I've got a cat, and so I always make sure to set aside time for them.
Mm.
But I think the big thing is I've built in structure and routine, and so my husband gets up at 4 in the morning and I get up at 4 in the morning. It's really
Yeah.
early. I don't love it. No, but it's my time to get things done and trust and respect myself that I'm going
Yeah.
to get stuff done in the morning before the rest of the world awakens. And that way, like no one can mess with my time from 4 to 6:30 a.m. I've got time for my work on my business. I can do it on as able during other times, but I know no matter what, I've got 2.5 hours in the morning because I get up and I do it.
Oh yeah, no, the routine is really important. I talk about that a lot too as well, where like um how you start your day is like really, really important because like
Hmm.
you said, stuff might happen throughout the day. So for a set time, you're 4 o'clock to 6:30. No one's up. That's like that quiet time where you can kind of just be creative with your business. Now,
Absolutely.
what is the vision for Change Studios? Like right now, I know you kind of we're still in startup stage, stuff like that with the 6 months. What is like the big vision that you want to see from it?
That's great. Like, what's my impossible dream, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to listen.
Well, honestly, I don't know how. I try not to get caught up in the details. I know where I'm at in the
Mhm.
moment. I think,
Absolutely.
and I know the next step in the next 2 to 3 steps. So that's what I'm working towards. But my long-term vision, like I said, is to have one-on-one impact or direct impact with 1,000 people to bring their
Mhm.
impossible dreams to life. And so I think that's a really powerful motivator for me, because there are ways that you can track it and ways that you can't, right? But through coaching and through group coaching, I can track those sorts of results. But I'll never know the ripple effects that I have either, right? Because if I'm posting on social media or have interviews, I hope that I inspire someone to go out and start working on their impossible dream, and I'll never know that, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, so that's my big vision. And you know what? Maybe I'll knock it out of the park, and then I'll be on to like 20,000 people or whatever is next. But that's my goal. I absolutely love public speaking. And so I really do want to focus on bringing a message to a really broad audience through speaking.
Mhm.
And then I love the direct impact of one-to-one, and then advisements through companies. So being able to go in and really push leaders to think big, and then also really carve out what the action steps are. But where's the business totally going? I don't know yet. I just know it's going somewhere big.
No, dang, no, that's big. Listen, you got me over here motivated to get my possible dream. Well, I
Yeah,
don't know,
let's go.
possible dream, man. Possible, the greatest. I always say I'm the greatest motivational speaker ever. I always say that.
I love that, right? Because my thing about impossible dreams is there are things that other people will tell you can't do.
Mhm.
But they don't know the skills, the gift, the passion that we have. And so
Mhm.
we still can do them whether they think that or not. I was actually told by a professor of mine who laughed at me when I told him that I wanted to go into the career field that I'm in and work with
Mhm.
mergers and acquisitions. And he said,
Yeah,
everyone wants to do that. Ha. And you know
yeah.
what? I'm doing it. Like I had
Mhm.
what he would consider an impossible dream. So just because someone says it's impossible doesn't mean you can't go do it.
No, absolutely. I think a lot of times people kind of push what their reality is onto us
Oh,
because
absolutely.
they,
Yeah.
they don't. it's just what they do, right? That's what they feel like they're not able to do, so they try to push it on us too as well. So I definitely don't take any of that stuff personal. So I know you said you love public speaking too as well. So you spoke at the Illinois Rotary Means Business Conference. How was your experience with that? And what was the conference kind of like centered around?
Yeah, that was a recent event that I spoke at. So that event was a conference for folks from the Illinois area who
Mm-hmm.
are business owners or work in business environments. They came together to learn about how do we build business that functions in a way that still serves one another.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's having kind of people-minded or people-first businesses. And it was a great way to connect with people who are passionate about the work that they do and care about other people. I don't want to work with people who are just in it for the money or
Sure.
just in it right for the glory. I want to work with people who care about other people. And so it was a great way to meet. There were about 100 people there at the conference, a
Mm.
lot of other connected people who are passionate about their work.
No, absolutely. And I like what you said, people that focused on their passion, focused on the impact. I
Yeah.
completely believer in the idea of if you focus on the impact, the money will follow.
Mm.
It has to for in order for you to have that impact, and they know, God knows that you want to have that impact. That the money just has to follow for you. That's why I was like, if I'm the greatest motivational speaker ever, how am I not going to be wealthy? Because I have to speak to so many people. I have to motivate other people. So I just focus on the impact, and like I said, just know that will follow. So now I definitely like that. Was that conference something that you were able to achieve through TSL? Or for people that don't know who TSL is, the Speaker Lab, it's a great program that we're in. And what's your experience too as well with the Speaker Lab too? I like to hear
Mm.
about others as well.
Yeah, I would say it wasn't because of the speaker. Well, I think the speaker lab gave me the confidence to start putting together the speaking aspects of my business.
Sure.
I've enjoyed doing public speaking before, but didn't have a solid plan for how to put that together.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, and there's a salesperson that I follow that just says for her particular business, meet people, tell them what you do and make offers to help them. And that's what I've been doing for my strategy. I just honestly was in a group of people that were planning this conference. I told them that I speak and that I have a background in event planning and I'm happy to help them. And they said, great, we'll have you join our committee and we'd love to have you speak. So it really was that easy of just showing up and telling people what I am good at and what I want to do and then offering to help them. And I was amazed at how easy it was to get, speaking
Yeah.
gigs by doing that.
That is really crazy because even when I first joined it too as well, the guy that I spoke to some of the people, I met other members too as well, and they were just telling me about like the ones that were successful in it. They were like, yeah, you still have to put the work in. And I think it really did help me with the clarity aspect because sometimes especially when we're running our business in the beginning, where it's like we have a vision, but it's not as precise. So
Mm-hmm.
it cleared up like even the niche of who I spoke to and stuff. But I had like a couple speaking gigs before then, but it was kind of like you said, I was just like, listen, I'm the greatest motivational speaker ever. And they're like, okay, cool. Yeah, come speak. And I'm like, okay, cool. I never spoke before, but let's do it. Let's do it.
But I know I'm the greatest, so there we
Yeah,
go.
let's get it. Let's do it though. So, what are some strategies that you do when, like, I don't know if you feel any type of like nerves or anything like that when you're about to speak? What are some things you do to kind of, get yourself prepared for a speech?
Well, I think for keynoting, it's so different from any other kind of speaking, right? Like here we get to interact and smile,
Yeah,
and it's not all about one or the other, right? It's about both of us and what we like our synergy.
yeah,
Whereas with a keynote or kind of what you're kind of the star of the show, but you're also there in service to everyone, right? So you've really got
mm,
to connect and serve them, but you don't get as much of the like playing off of one another. So for me, I found I just have to be really connected with where I'm trying to take the audience and the
mm,
impact that I want to have. So that way, if I get lost in the moment, I still know like where am I going, right? Where am I taking them? So if I forget a paragraph or a point or something, at the end of the day, we're still going to get to the end and it's going to be okay. So I think that's been a big one. And then just remembering, I can't remember the line exactly from the speaker lab, but it's like, you can't say the wrong thing to the right people. Like you
mm,
show up
yeah,
and you do your best and hopefully that people are going to be influenced and impacted by that. And that's going to be great. And at the end of the day, before speaking, I just want to have a meaningful connection with people. So if I get to talk to people after, say I totally blew the the talk, I can still talk to them after, and we can have a great conversation, and it'll be okay. It'll all work out.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with that. You can't really say the wrong people, the wrong things to the right people. And I found things that helped me too as well. Is one, it was like a lot of times people are like scared to kind of like embarrass themselves. So the
Mm.
first thing I do is, I do something that like I would just start yelling or something. They're like, hey, what's wrong with this guy? And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm here. The energy's here. And then just get in the like that synergy you were saying, playing off of that. I also try to get the audience involved as much as possible.
Mm.
And that way it's kind of like, all right, you're talking to me. It feels more like conversational.
Love that. Yeah.
But yeah, I always start off with something embarrassed. I just start yelling and just go crazy.
That grabs your attention, right?
No, that's definitely cool. That's neat though to get that stuff. Now I know you said another thing that you did was you did a workshop, adaptability workshop for 85 professionals. Where was that at? And what experience did you have with that too, with running the workshop?
That was through an employee resource network. And yeah, there were about 85 people there, mostly targeted towards younger professionals in their 20s and 30s, but
Mhm.
anyone could join. And yeah, it was really great. The amazing piece about that, and what I've learned through any sort of workshops and speaking, is that people just connect with stories. When I ask for feedback, when I ask what impacted them the most, there's always the stories, and they could have cared less. I mean, the other stuff I guess is maybe important, but everyone focuses on the stories. And so that's really helped me to remember to just really focus on sharing messages through stories as much as I can when I'm speaking.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It was even, I was reading a book that was saying even before when we were speaking, when we were sitting around a campfire, we were all talking
Mm,
stories and stuff like that. That's how we
yeah,
Bibles and
exactly.
parables, everything is like in stories to help us understand it. I wanted to ask you this too as well. So being, the number one greatest motivational speaker ever, one of the things that's going to come with that is probably winning a Nobel Peace Prize. I see you were a Nobel Peace Scholar. What is the Nobel Peace Scholar, and yeah, how'd you do that?
That was a lifetime ago. So that was in 2010. I was awarded a Nobel Peace Scholar. So there were 10 people who were awarded this, and it
Yeah.
was based off of previous work and interests in research. And so I had an opportunity to go to Norway and study at the Peace Research Institute of Oslo. I studied about the connection between economics and fair trade, and
Mm,
then violence on the countryside of Brazil. I had been living
yeah.
in Brazil at the time, so I flew from Brazil to Norway.
Mm,
And it was a really powerful opportunity for me, to experience how different Brazil was from Norway. I had a really hard time adjusting at first,
yeah.
then to learn to like, this is where I'm at in the moment. Like, how do I still move forward and get the most out of this experience, even
Mm,
if I'm having a hard time adjusting? And then they also gave me the opportunity to present at the Nobel Peace Prize Forum, which I remember back then I was really nervous about. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to mess this up. All these people are so much smarter than me, right? I'm totally going to say the wrong thing. And it
mhm.
gave me an opportunity to present and realize it'll be okay. Like, it's all right. And no one wants me to fail, right? The audience wants me to be successful and to present well. And it all worked out well.
Wow, yeah, no, that's amazing. You said a lifetime ago. I'm like, wait, there's no way that you're a day over 30. So I was like trying to
Ah,
think that off.
well, thank you. I'll take that as a
You said 10 years ago. I'm like, 10 years ago, I was in like middle school or high school. So
yeah. That was 15 years ago now. Yeah.
wow, yeah, no, that's crazy. That's crazy. No, so we got a lot of great stuff from you. A lot of things would change, a lot of just information. Now, if you had to leave the audience with one last piece of advice, what would you say to them?
I would say be willing to go big,
Mm,
and then put in the work to do it, and trust yourself that you'll do it. I think
mm,
you'll be amazed by what you can accomplish.
okay. Big goals create big motivation. That's what Tony Robbins said. So
Oh, yeah. Oh, Tony. Yeah. The fact that I even got, put in the same sentence as him.
listen, you starting this up. Look, change. No, that's really all I had. Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day in order to even be interviewed and hop on this platform. It was a blast.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate the invite. So glad to be here.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So if the audience wanted to get in touch with you to ask for help with change or even just network with you, how could they reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm actually rebranding right now. My website should be live in a couple of days. My new website is realchangestudio.com.
Mm-hmm.
So feel free to check there and you can contact me right through the website. Or you add me on LinkedIn. I'm Erin Ramirez. I don't think there's too many of us out there.
Yeah, you're the first one that pops up. So
All right. I'm the most active probably. So there we
yeah,
go.
yeah. So you know,
So yeah, connect with me there. Follow me there. I'd love to have a conversation with you.
absolutely, absolutely. Go over there, check it out. You know, get those big goals and achieve your impossible dreams with her. So yeah, that's really all have for you guys today. I want you guys to keep killing the day. You guys remember, winners win, losers lose. And you guys pray for success like this. I'll talk to you guys.